Okay, you may be seated. Thank you, Rhonda. We always appreciate your playing, too. Thank you so much. It's very good. So how many of you want to do 2025 all over again? I see one hand back here. Jade, what'd you like best about 2025? Everything. Okay, good answer. Would anybody do 2025 as a do-over? Nope. Okay. It would take you a year back, yes. And maybe we would have time to see what we did wrong, or maybe an opportunity that passed us by, or maybe something that we were like, man, that was really great. I wish I could do that again. So there's always, I think, some opportunities in things like that. But 2025, yeah, we tend to look at the negative side of that, don't we, of what happened there. Well, I want to look at one of the negatives today. One of the things that maybe gave Jesus a reason to doubt some of the disciples. And Tim, can you pull that up for me? Matthew chapter 8. And we're just going to read through verses 18 through 27 and then just talk a little bit about some of the things that happened there. Pardon? No, we need some King James once in a while. This is fine. So in this part of it, this is where the disciples were going to get into the boat, but there was a lot of great things that happened that day. There were a lot of healings that happened. There were a lot of extraordinary things to make the disciples like, wow, I'm part of this organization. I'm part of what this movement, this Jesus movement is, and it really get them excited. So we're going to read through this, and then we're going to talk a bit about it. Now, when Jesus saw great multitudes about him, he gave commandment to depart unto the other side. This starts at 18. We're starting, yes, okay, go ahead. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. And Jesus said unto him, The foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. And another of his disciples said unto him, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. But Jesus said unto him, Follow me, and let the dead bury their dead. Now, there was a lot of excitement with the people that were there, and they were charged up. They were ready to go. They were ready to do whatever it took. But Jesus, go ahead. And when he was entered into his ship, his disciples followed him. This is when they get into the boat. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, a great storm, insomuch that the ship was covered with waves. But he, or Jesus, was asleep. And his disciples came to him and woke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And he saith unto them, Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. But the men marveled, saying, What manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? So, look at this thing, and I'm seeing, all the excitement around people, and they get into the boat, they go out onto the sea, and a storm comes up, and what's the first thing that grips them? What's the first emotion that they face? It's fear. The first thing. And I'm going, man, I can't imagine being with Jesus through that time. I'm not going to say I wouldn't be fearful in the boat. I can't swim, so I probably would have just been a death grip on the side of the boat. But here they are. Jesus is in the boat with them, and they're going, "What are we going to do? We're going to die." And I can't imagine that Jesus, when he woke up, would go, "Don't you guys trust, that I would take care of you? Don't you guys see that there's nothing to fear about this?" And meanwhile, everybody's covered with water and everything else, and Jesus is probably doing his best to hold his composure. And they're so fearful about what's going to happen that it hasn't happened yet. And so they cry out, you've got to do something. We're gonna perish. We're going to die here. So I think as we look back on 2025, we kind of agonize over the things that happened. we see the terrible things that had happened. We had good days, didn't we? Will you agree you had a good day once in a while in 2025? I mean, let's give it that. But we always tend to look at the negative side of things more so than we do the positive side of things. As they did back in Jesus' time. When things were going well, man, they were all for it. They were all there. We're in this together. But when the time started to get tough, then they were just like us. We're a little bit on the weak side. We're a little bit on the, I don't know if I can do that or not. So in 2025, there was a change that I made. I would call it retirement, but I don't really feel retired. I feel, I've replaced it with a lot of other things. But in leading up to that, it was one of those deals where I kind of felt like God was saying, you need to do something, and I'm going to make this as uncomfortable as I can for you until you decide to make a change. I really don't think I wanted to retire. My wife, when I said that, she looked at me like in amazement, like, what? She didn't think it would ever happen. And probably it wouldn't have if I was going to be honest with myself and I did what I thought I wanted to do. I would have probably still been working. But over the years, God gave me a great opportunity to speak with just a number of people. And we had about 1,000 employees in our company, and I had access to every one of them. And every one of them knew where I stood, which was the cool part about it. There was never any question that way. But I guess it was leaving those people, and what do you do there? But God gave me an opportunity to go and work with another company, which gave me an opportunity to go and work with some new people. And it's scary, because change isn't always one of those things that we embrace, is it? It's like, I know there's something hidden here that I'm not going to like or whatever, but he gave me a new group of people just to hang out with. I'm going to just put it to you that way, because they didn't know really, they knew who I was, but they didn't know what I was. And they had no idea of any of my background or anything like that. And it took a while for them to find out that I really cared about what they were doing and how we did things and what goes on there. And so it was like, I look at it, I'm going, why would God ask me to change? But in the change, I still had connection to my old job because we're a customer and we still depend on them, so I still need to talk to them. So he still gave me that connection to my hunter family, that I still had that. And I'm like, wow, God, I'd have never thought about it in that way, if you hadn't spoken that in that sense to me. But we look at change as something that is scary. We look at change as something, it's the unknown. How are we going to approach that? Or what's going to happen there? What's the outcome going to be? And if I hadn't done that, I'd have probably never had a chance to look at it at the way I do now, or I wouldn't have had the opportunity to speak with people that I do now. And the cool part is, this week, another door opened, and so there's going to be another group of people that I'm going to be able to share with as well. So in retiring, I call it replacement. So I've replaced a job I had with 3 new jobs that God has given me. And don't look at it as like, oh, why would you do that? Why wouldn't I do that? It's a great thing that God has given me a chance to be able to share with people. And that's the scary part. Because in being able to do that, now I'm dealing with people that don't really know me. And so what if I mess up? What if I do something stupid? Or what if I'm out of place with them? And I kind of lose any traction that I've got there. And I have to be very careful of that. But that's the exciting part about it, is they don't know either. So I have a chance to actually do maybe some research with them that they have no idea what I'm doing. And so someday maybe I can have things that I can talk to them about or share with them about. And that's the opportunity that God gives to us. And I look at it with each one of us, even maybe it's not on a scale like that, it could be on a larger scale. Because we don't know who that one person is that we may run into, that we may share with. And you may look at somebody as, that person that's in front of you in the checkout line, and they're taking their time, they can't find things, and you're in a hurry, and, I just don't like that person right now. That happens. It's our emotion. It's the emotional part of what we go through. And in all those things, we don't know what they're going through. We don't know what their state of mind is. We have no idea. And in the way that the country is going today with the mindset of people, we see how terrible a situation can turn out to be. And so as we have that opportunity to share with people, as we have that opportunity to be patient with people, we need to say, God, what do you want me to do here? What's my best plan of attack here? What do I say? How do I show myself? And I think those are the things that we look at. It's like, well, what's gonna be the difference? But it could be the difference between that one person. And I know you've read stories about people that were raised in a difficult time, and they didn't have everything. Maybe they didn't have parents. Maybe they didn't have a place to stay or whatever. But they ended up doing something great. And that one person made a change in a lot of people's lives. But with that one person making that change in a lot of people's lives, there was another person or another couple people behind that pushed those people to be who they are, where they're at. And those are the ones you don't hear about. And those are the exciting ones that we want to talk about today. Does it say who the disciples were in the boat? No, but we have a pretty good idea. It was probably Peter and John, Matthew, Mark. It was probably all those guys that were in the boat. But what if you were one of those other maybe stowaways that had to pilot the boat? And you got a chance to go talk to somebody maybe in another town about what happened in the storm and how it was calmed and everything. That's the opportunity we have today, to maybe be that person to somebody, to maybe be that person that can speak out. And let's look at it this way. Being in that boat with Jesus was a very comforting, probably, thing for those people once he calmed their fears, once he did that. And look at it as being in church this morning. We feel protected. We feel safe. We feel, like this is as close to Jesus maybe as we get through the week, because we can feel, the results of the music that surround us, the prayers that we have, just being able to see each other. And it makes us feel, so much closer to the heart of God that we're here. But what happens when we walk out the door? What happens when we get to the end of this ramp? Now, the emotion that we have naturally starts to maybe take over in how we think and how we act or react to other people. And is it fair that we would want people to have us thinking of them differently? How would you like it if they thought about you that way? I mean, let's face it, not everybody is as perfect as we are, right? Let's look at it that way. So we have to think of ourselves as, put myself in their place. And how do I act that way? Jesus did that with several people. The Samaritan woman, with Jewish people. He even healed the Roman soldier, his ear, who was arresting him. Could you do that? I know I couldn't. I'd be sitting there going, hey, Peter, get the other one. You've got the sword yet. That's not the way Jesus thinks. And so he asks us to be compassionate to them. And in 2026, we have a grand opportunity to do some things maybe that we didn't really feel were in us. It's maybe taking that extra moment to talk to somebody. It's maybe taking that extra bit of time to make that person feel a little bit more like somebody does think I'm worth it. Somebody does think that I have something that could be of interest. And those are the things I think that God wants us to really look at. Did he get mad at the disciples? I think he was really disappointed when they woke him up. He was tired. He was sleepy. I don't know how he slept through being wet. Maybe the boat had a place where he could get down in where it was dry. But I think he was more disappointed than he was upset with the disciples. I think the whole thing is he had 3 years on this earth to work with them. And after a few years, this happens, and he's going, don't they get it? Don't they listen to anything that I tell them? But today, here's God speaking to your heart going, I want you to try to do this. I want you to try to do that. I want you to try to give some way that you maybe haven't given before. But what do we allow to happen? Our emotion says, oh, I can't do that. I'm not a speaker. I'm not an outgoing person. I can't talk to people. It just won't come out right. And it never will if you don't try. And if you think I'm going to mess up, it's fine. When Louis says he's going to go on vacation, he says, can you take this Sunday? I'm like, sure. And then I think, oh my, it scares me because when I come up, I'm like, don't say the wrong thing. And don't say something that is taken out of context with what you want to try to speak on that day. And I don't know what it is. You'd think you'd be comfortable with it, but I think the time that you get comfortable with it is the time to be the most concerned about where it's at. Be that emotional part of you having fear. Be that emotional part of you thinking, I can't do this. And that's the time when God will pull you through and show you that there are some things that you can do that maybe you never thought you had in you. And that's what he's teaching these men in this boat. That after that whole situation was over and they were amazed, do you think they forgot about that day? Do you think they forgot about that time? And so many of the disciples were martyred, that were killed. And I think to myself, are those the days that they thought about that it's worth it? It's worth having that fear. It's worth the sacrifice that I have to make because I know it's real, that relationship that I have with Jesus Christ. And that's where I think that it's so cool to do something that you're uncomfortable with. And I know Jenny, there was a lot of times she doesn't want to talk in front of people. She doesn't want to, I can't do that. I just can't. And over the years, she has come so far. There's people, I know there's customers that she's sitting and shared with, that she's prayed with. And I know early on in our marriage, she wouldn't even think about that. I can't do that. The first year that we went to camp, she wanted to go home after the first couple of days. And it's not to be embarrassing. It's just, I want to show you that the growth can happen. And so she stepped out and she wanted to do that. She wouldn't think of staying home now. She knows what that commitment can do. She knows that fulfillment that God can give to her through the ministering to other people. And that's where we're all at. It's not always at camp. It may be at work. It might be at a restaurant to a waitress who's having a rough day, or you see her having a hard time with another customer. And that's when maybe that's the time you need to be just twice as good to her, twice as understanding as possible. Because think about it, if you were doing that, what would you say the first time you spilled coffee on somebody? You wouldn't know what to say, would you? It's just, I hope they don't sue me. That's the exciting part about 26, that I think God speaks to us and says, I want you to start looking at where you haven't been. And I want you to see, I've got something for you to do. You don't know what it is yet, but you're going to know someday. After it's over, you're going to know. And you're going to look back at it and you're going to say, oh my word, if I hadn't have been able to step out at that one point, I'd have missed that opportunity. God would have missed that opportunity. And then he would have had to got somebody else to do it. And then like the disciples in the boat, I think he would have been a little upset going, I thought I'd showed you more love than that. Can't you show your love to somebody else through me? So as 2026 comes along, I want you to think about, there was a little story that I heard the other day, and it was about a father and son that went to the store. And the father had purchased, all the items that he did. He's getting ready to check out, and the store owner had this big bowl of candy there. And so he said to the little boy, he says, little boy, go ahead, take some candy. And the little boy wouldn't take anything. And the father said, it's okay. The little boy, he said no. And so the store owner said, once again, he says, just reach your hand in there, take a handful of candy. And he said, no, I can't do that. And the father is like, what's going on? So finally the store owner said to the father, take some candy for him. And so the father reached in with his big hand and pulled out a bunch of candy. And as they left the store, the father said, why didn't you take the candy? And he said, Father, you have a bigger hand than I do. And you can get more. Jesus has a bigger hand to keep us under his care. And we forget about that. Remember who it is that you're having that relationship with. It's Jesus Christ. He was big enough to create a universe. He was big enough to create this world. And he was smart enough to do a lot of the things we look around and take for granted. So, into your Father's care, remember this week he has a bigger hand than we do. I'm going to leave you with a song. Tim, if you'd like to play that, please. And after it's over, you can be dismissed.
This is the moment where everything turns. Didn't think I would see it, was hard to believe. Heaven crashes to earth. I've read the stories of all that you've done. Parted the sea and set captives free. Never thought